Okay, so hello all. Today I'll be talking about eavesdropping a QKT network. This project was conducted as a part of Q Intern 2021 program, and I would like this opportunity to thank Q World for organizing such an event. And these fellow interns that work day and night for this project. They did calculation and also helped me in writing the manuscript, and we could manage to finish the preprint within the duration of the project itself, and that's pretty awesome. So today's the 19th Q webinar of this Q course that I was told. I hope you are having a wonderful experience during this Q course. And so let's now start this talk. So basically, this is the brief outline of the talk. First, I'll be motivating you people regarding the idea of this project and briefly touch upon the quantum key distribution. What is this? Uh, what is this quantum task basically? And then EPR steering I'll be discussing because this is the key resource that we have utilized in order to frame the QKD protocol. And our main intention was to see how secure the quantum key distribution network are, which are based on this EPR kind of EPR steering kind of resource. So for that purpose, we'll establish a connection between steering and one-sided device independent QKD. Don't be panicked about the large notation about this word. I'll be describing what it means. Then I'll be discussing the specific project problem, what was the problem, and how we proceeded and solved the problem basically. And since this sequential measurement and unsharp measurement techniques will be using for this project, so I'll be describing these techniques briefly, and then I'll discuss about the results and conclude with the offshoots of this project. Yeah, so this is the way to proceed. So basically, what is the purpose of a quantum network? So quantum networks, which contains the many observer, the sole task is to share the secret information from one observer to the another. For example, in this picture, you can see that Alice wants to share the same key or secret information with respect to Bob. So she'll be sending some information using this quantum channel. And after sharing information using this quantum channel, they will do some sort of pre-processing operation via classical channel. Eve in between the protocol can tap the quantum channel and also can listen to the classical communication happening between Alice and Bob. What advantage quantum mechanics offers? So if such a Eve will try to tap the information through this quantum channel, then Alice and Bob will get to know. So this is the sole idea of security in a quantum network because there are two or three things basically which will uh, I'll be describing properly. So the first thing is the no cloning principle, because no cloning, if the communication, if the quantum communication is happening, um, for example, if we consider the case of photons, so if the communication is through single photons and quantum state is encoded in a single photon, then in principle no cloning principle uh, does not allow Eve to create a copy of such information. And the monogamy relations, basically what are monogamy relations? These are the relations um, which does not allow to have a a kind of entanglement sharing if two pairs are sharing a maximally entangled EPR pair. So they cannot share entanglement with the other pair. And steering is a kind of one-sided device independent entanglement proof. So monogamy relations will ensure the security in one-sided device independent QKD network. that I'll be talking about in the later slides. And we'll consider the case of unsharp measurement. So very recently, I must say very recently, people have shown that by performing quantum unsharp measurement or what we say quantum weak measurement, such monogamy relations can be seem to violated, because if the second pair in the chain perform unsharp measurement, then more number of observer can come into picture and they too can share quantum steering, irrespective of whether the initial two observers are having a maximally entangled pair. So using unsharp measurement, it poses a kind of eavesdropping technique for the eve to have secret information. So this was the prime motivation, because in the recent results, people have shown that using unsharp measurements, more number of observers can come into picture, and each pair will be violating the steering test. So uh, this came into our while framing the problem, this came into my mind, how Eve can utilize such a result in order to break down the security of this device independent QKD networks. Okay, so moving ahead, let's first discuss what is a quantum key distribution network. So in a key distribution network, the sole idea is to utilize quantum resources in order to safely distribute keys through a public channel. And the idea is that if a eavesdropper will try to tap this secret information, then it cannot do without disturbing the state, because we all know that the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics says that state can be in superposition, and when we perform the measurement, it will collapse into one of the state. So without hindrance, one cannot tap out the information out of it. And if Eve tries to do such, Alice and Bob will get to know. And no cloning theorem I've already explained. So in principle, the QKD protocols are having two kind of classes. First one is prepare and measure scenario, and whose prime example is BB84 protocol. And other are based on the entanglement kind of resource, and whose example is a kind of ECURT protocol. So we were interested in such kind of QKD protocols, and we have considered steering as a hidden resource for that purpose. The distinct advantage that entanglement assisted protocol offers is the ability to check its security via the monogamy relations, because their secrecy is mainly based on the monogamy relations. And the secret key rate is a function of the violation of steering or bell kind of inequality. So this is the advantage with entanglement assisted protocols. So before moving into such kind of protocol, and since the audience is, I was told that they have done this Q branch course, and they are mainly are doing graduations, and so I thought that let's discuss a simple prepare and measures protocol also. So it is called a DPS protocol, which is differential phase shift protocol. Here you can see that the information is encoded in single photon pulses that I told. So laser through which continuous pulses are coming out, first via intensity modulator, we modulate the pulses. Then using phase modulator, we encode the phase difference between the pulses as 0 and pi, and then we attenuate it to a single photon level with mean photon number say 0.1, because when we are working in that regime, then only 10% pulses are single photon pulses, 90 photon pulses are vacuum pulses with no photons, and less than 0.5 or so are multi-photon pulses. So this phase encoding in the single photon pulses, they went through a fiber channel uh, to the Bob side, and Bob, using this delay line interferometer kind of setup, creates the phase difference between two consecutive photon pulses that are coming as 0 and pi, and based on the phase difference, either SPT2, SPT1 or 2 gets detected. SPT is single photon detector. And I must say here that QNU Lab, which I recently joined, they are the first Indian startup company who have demonstrated this QKD network over a range of 100 kilometer, and they have commercial available QKD setups that one can purchase and deploy. Okay, quite interesting, right? So this I have already explained that Alice is encoding information as 0 and pi phase difference in the single photon pulses, and Bob using this DLI kind of a structure decodes the same information, and that's how. And after that thing, they do the shifting and privacy amplification kind of post-processing techniques in order to come up with a secret key. Okay. So let's now talk about the attacks that are possible on a QKD network. Like we all know, in theory, things works properly, but when we go into experiment, due to the imperfections of the devices, the components, and also the single photon pulses, we are not having a single photon source, right? We are using the weak coherent pulses as a single photon sources, but we know that due to quenching, multi-photon pulses are there. So such kind of imperfections and non-idealities that are associated with experiment, they gave rise to multiple kind of quantum attacks, and each are associated with a target component. For example, photon number splitting attacks is possible because we are working using weak coherent pulses, and if we increase the mean photon number, then it gave rise to the possibility of multi-photon, this photon number splitting kind of attacks. And similarly, uh, each kind of attack is associated with the target component, detector imperfection in the detector, phase modulator, or be it intensity modulator, gave rise to multiple attacks. And I cannot discuss all such attacks due to limit of time. So let's consider a simple beam splitter attack. So what Eve can do, Eve can create a kind of setup that Bob is using, and 50% with 50% probability, information will be going towards Eve, and with the 50% will be going towards Bob. The sole idea in quantum information theory or quantum key, this key distribution industry, is that Eve is only limited with the laws of physics, and he or she has all kind, I mean, the advanced or superior technology setups. So what Eve can do, Eve can do a beam splitter attack, and after tapping information, the rest of the I mean, what he has to do is just to take care about the environmental noise or the losses in the optical fiber, and based on that knowledge, that much information, he can keep with himself, and rest of the pulses he has to send towards Bob, so that based on the Kuber uh, or the rest of the information, they cannot get to know whether there is an Eve or not. So Eve can tap that much information, which is offered by the lossy channel, and Eve can, in principle, replace the rest of the channel with a lossless channel, and that's how this beam splitter kind of attacks work. Okay, so the other kind of attack that were used while in the project problem is a intercept resend attack. So here what Eve does basically, it taps the pulses, and it keeps that pulses in a quantum memory with itself, and send another pulse with the same phase encoding with towards the Bob side. And in the DPS protocol uh, setup at QNU Labs, what they have done, they have mitigated such kind of attacks because there's proper synchronization, and if Eve taps the pulses and send another pulses, then there's a time lag between the two things, and basically using the time stamp data, they will get to know whether there's an Eve or not. But using a mixture of beam splitter and intercept kind of intercept resend attack, Eve, smart Eve can come up with the newer form of attacks that we have framed in our project, and you will get to know what are the attacks basically. So let's now come back to our project, which is a kind of quantum QKD based on entanglement entanglement assisted QKD. So for that purpose, let's first understand what is EPR steering, because we have worked with that thing. So EPR as a quantum resource or as a word was coined by this Schrodinger, and when he was giving his analysis of the EPR famous 1935 paper. He himself coined the term entanglement as well as steering. And later in the year 2007, Weissman gave the concept of steering in terms of operational framework. And in this paper also they have established a strict hierarchy between entanglement, steering, and Bell-known locality, where steering fits in between entanglement. So it is stronger than entanglement and weaker than Bell-known locality. So what is the idea? So steering comes into picture when so we are interested in the bipartite case only and not moving to the multipartite case. So here you can see that the two parties, Alice and Bob, one of the setup is device independent. So here Alice's setup is device independent, and we are considering it as a black box. Alice has no information about its internal working. Neither he knows about the dimension of the subsystem. So what Alice can do, can perform some input measurement, which is been noted by X, and get some outcome A. So steering come into picture if via this input and output, Alice can steer the local state on Bob's side, which is denoted by sigma B AXU. So basically, if the this what called if they share a entangled state which is written a state which cannot be written in this form is called entangled state, and if they share a entangled state, then based on the input and output, Alice can steer the state on the Bob side. So ultimately the Bob's state cannot be written into this form, which is a local hidden state model, and if it can be written in this form, then it implies that steering is not present. If you want to see in terms of number, so say if Alice is performing two input and getting two outcome, so the idea of steering is based on the input and output, four distinct state will be formed on the Bob side, and if they share a singlet state or an entangled pair, then you can perform sigmax and sigmax plus sigma y by square root 2 kind of measurement, and can easily calculate the conditional state, and you will get to see that four distinct states are formed. So this is the idea of steering. Steering can be detected using uncertainty relation inequalities, and there are also using logical contradiction. People have shown the demonstration of steering. So yeah, so now let's establish the connection between steering and quantum QKD. So I think now you will understand why we have said that it is one-sided device independent QKD, because Alice's side is we are considering it as device independent, and Bob's side, Bob knows the full information about its subsystem. So it is a kind of asymmetric scenario. It is not like Bell non-locality scenario where both the subsystems are device independent. Neither it is a kind of entanglement scenario where both the subsystems are trusted and they have full information. So steering can be demonstrated using inequalities. And here we have considered the fine-grained inequality, which is a kind of conditional inequality. And B and A are the outcomes. One and this two are the basically input measurements by Bob and Alice. And maximum violation, you can see that it will be 1. And if it is more than 3/4 till 1, then we are working in the quantum regime. And here you can see that if we denote by delta the violation of this inequality, then in this paper and paper following in their citation, you can see that there's a relation between the secret key rate and the violation of the inequality. Okay, so let's now come back to the project problem and what we have considered. Let's focus on that thing. So in the project, we have considered that a maximally entangled state is shared between Alice and Bob, and we are interested in the upper bound of the number of Eve that can come into picture and can have a positive secret key rate such that Bob's key rate is greater than that of any of the Eves, basically. So how we calculated that upper bound? So for that purpose, each subsequent Eve that will come into picture in between will be performing a weak measurement, because you know now that if Eve will perform a sharp measurement, then entanglement will collapse and there will be no quantum correlation for the next pair. So intermediary Eve have to perform weak measurement, and Bob at the end can perform a sharp measurement. Okay, so what are weak measurements basically? So sharp measurement, we know that they gain the maximum information out of a state, and but the original state is completely destroyed. And in the unsharp measurement, there's a trade-off between the information gain and the collapse of the resource, which is given by this relation, where F is the quality factor, which quantifies uh, the disturbance of the state, and G is the quantifier for the information gain. Okay, so here is the formalism basically. Like if O is the dichotomic observable with two inputs and two outputs, plus and minus denotes the outcomes. So this observable can be represented in this form if it is a sharp measurement. If it is an unsharp measurement, then it is represented by this form, where E lambda is a combination of sharp measurement and the identity operator, with lambda as the unsharpness value. Okay, so the sole idea of our experiment or our project is that each consecutive Eve will perform weak measurement and Eve will hide behind the noise, because Eve will gain only that much information which Alice and Bob will think that it is because of the decohering effect of the noise. As we all know that because of the decohering nature of the noise, if a quantum resource is going through this channel, then due to interaction with the environment, quantum steering, which is the resource in this device, one-sided device independent QKT, will decrease. And that is the thing Eve is utilizing. It is performing the weak measurement in between, gaining some information, sending it for the next pair to gain further information. And at the end, Bob will also violate the FGI inequality and see that, yeah, there's still a quantum steerable resource left, and they will thought that they are sharing the secret information, but that is not the case. Okay, so here you can see that elaborately we have shown that Alice is performing the sharp measurement, each consecutive Eve is performing the unsharp measurement, and at the end Bob is also performing the sharp measurement. But this R prime denotes the strength with which Bob is, I mean, the key rate associated with Bob, it is denoted by R prime, and each of the subsequent Eve is gaining the same key rate value. And you can see that we have put this constraint that the key rate that Bob shared should be greater than the key rate that is shared between by any of the Eve. And I'm not going into details. Basically, these are the representation for the sharp operators by Alice and Bob, and it denotes the unsharp operator of Eve, and how we calculated the post-measured state is using this thing, and conditional probability that are associated with FGI are calculated using this thing. Now coming to the results. what we have observed, if the secret key rate associated with each eve is 0.05, then at most 4 eve can come into picture, and we have calculated the range of the unsharpness parameter that each of the eve can deploy, and we haven't find any fifth eve that can come into picture can have this much secret key rate, and at the end Bob is also having a key rate more than that. So this limits the number of eve in this particular condition when each of the eve is having a secret key rate value 0.05 and Bob at the end have this value. We have done calculations for other case where each of the eve is having a key rate value 0.1. Bob at the end is having this much value, and we have found that yeah, in this case also 4 eve can come into picture, and no other there's no scope for the fifth eve. And you can see that in both the cases 4 eve can come into picture, but the key rate associated with Bob is lesser in this particular case when each of the subsequent eve is gaining more information. And when we increase the value to 0.2 for each of the eve, then the number of eve drops to 3, and the key rate associated with Bob is 0.27. Okay, so now we have also considered a technique through which unbounded number of eve can come into picture, but I will not go into details with this thing because it is technically more advanced and will take more time. So the idea is same, that eve will be gaining only that much information, which is lesser than the one that Bob is gaining. And here non-maximal entangled state we have considered, and we have found out that for one specific scenario we can have unbounded number of eve also. So to conclude, that the monogamy relation, which are the key thing to ensure the secrecy of quantum key distribution network, whose hidden resource is quantum steering, can be broken down using a smart eavesdropper technique, where each of the subsequent eve will be performing quantum unsharp measurement, which is a kind of, you can see that it is a kind of beam splitter and intercept resend attack, because beam splitter because it is a weak measurement, and intercept resend because each of the eve after gaining some information is passing the uh, quantum particle to the next eve, and at the end it is going to Bob. So it is a kind of mixture of beam splitter and intercept resend. And in one particular technique, we have observed unbounded number of eves, and as an offshoot of this thing, the audience over here, which are a participant of this Q course, they can work on this problem. Such kind of attack they can see for the other QKD protocols like ECUT protocol, DPS, or even in decoy scheme. Such kind of framework can come into picture, and one can evaluate the secrecy of such a QKD protocol. With this, I want to acknowledge QWord for organizing this Q intern, and thank my parent institute and the current company for their financial help. And basically, I want to thank QNU Lab for their because we'll be working, we'll be trying to realize such kind of attacks and see how challenging it will be for, how better we can, how much we can improve the imperfections associated with the experiment. So yeah, and also thank the audience for their attention, and I'm open for the questions. Thank you.